सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। Om, may He protect us both. May we both enjoy together. May we both exert together. May our studies become brilliant. May we not become disputatious and hate each other. Om, peace, peace, peace. Everybody, welcome to the classes. So last class we had discussed how a wise person sees the world. There is ekam. There is only one level which he sees everything around. A topmost Brahmin who has got Vidya and Vinaya. The representation at that time I told you is the Brahmins, Vaishyas. They were given according to the content of their Sattvic Guna, Rajasic Guna and Tamasic Guna. Right? So there is nobody as a concept as Brahmin by birth. Anybody who's got those gunas are called Brahmins. So there is no use claiming I am a Brahmin. I've seen Brahmins who eat all kind of stuff, drink all kind of things. And just because they can say Swaha, Swaha, they have been categorized into Brahmins. That's wrong. It's a tamasic nature which manifests. So a topmost class of a person who's got both these qualities of Vidya and Vinaya. Vidya, knowledge; Vinaya, humility, humbleness. Such a person, so at the topmost rung of the human nature, then he gives these three examples of three gunas: cow and dog for Rajas and Tamas for elephant. Last class we had done all this, so I'm not going it in great detail. I'm just catching it up a little bit. And the lowest of men who eat Shwapakecha, who eat the dogs, means it doesn't matter what they eat, what they drink. They are more interested in just existing. We used to have these 2-3 persons who used to come to our academy because in the rains there used to be a lot of crabs, going around in our academy. So we don't know how to get them out. We had no idea how to get them out. So what used to happen is we used to call these so-called people forest dwellers, and they would come, especially ladies actually, they would come and say, we will remove the crabs. You have to give per crab like 10 rupees or something to remove alive. And they would just put their hand inside and remove the crab. Bare hands, and if the crab bites also, it's all right. Then we came to know that whatever money we give, they eat and drink some intoxication and come so that they don't feel the pain. So there's nothing else except existing. So the lowest kind of a person, all of them are viewed as one by one who studied or understood what life is. See, if this Samadarshinaha is not there, if this viewing everybody as one is not there, then you are not a spiritual person. So the very fact I see only a cult, a caste, a creed, a sex for that matter, male or female, then I don't belong to the spiritual attitude at all. I don't have a spiritual attitude. Because if I have a spiritual attitude, I will see the universality in everything. I'll see that oneness in everything. So this is the whole idea of Samadarshina. He sees everybody as one. And what is the impediment? Why can't we see, instead of studying, in spite of studying so much of Vedanta and the Bhagavad Gita and everything we are studying, yet there are so many differences where I'm seeing. There's nothing wrong with the perceptions. Perceptions are different. You can't help it. The whole world is a heterogeneous variety of beings and objects. So you are seeing differences is all right. But indulging in differences, emotionally and mentally, that's where the problem is. So what is the basic problem here? Basic problem is an understanding that there is nothing called spirituality. Brahman, Atman, or the self does not exist. There was this man who came to us, a doctor, and he said that, sir, I am studying philosophy from some guru. I said, all right, good for you. He says, and I heard Sanskrit is a very beautiful language. He said, yes, it is a beautiful language. Because anyway you put Sanskrit, any word, my name is Ramesh. So in Sanskrit, if you write Ramesh is name mine, it will still be read as my name is Ramesh. So that's the beauty of Sanskrit. I said, yeah, I have heard about it. It's a beautiful language. So, sir, in Sanskrit, there is the quotation called Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. When you say Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya, it means Brahman is truth, and this Jagat, this world of plurality, is untruth. So, yeah, I've heard about this. So, since Sanskrit is a changeable normal, can we read it as Brahma Mithya Jagat Satyam? Can we read it as Jagat Satyam Brahma Mithya? Because you never know. The masters may have thought that as truth. So Brahman is Mithya and Jagat is truth. Can we read like that? It's up to you. I don't know who's teaching you. It's up to you. The very fact you understand Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. Brahman is the truth. Jagat, the plurality, is Mithya. It does not exist. Why it does not exist is very simple. What exists, it does not exist for everybody. Each and every object or being, when they are interacting with others, they have different results. So they may not produce the same result. If it is truth, it will produce the same result. When sun is hot, it is hot for everybody. It can't be cool for one and hot for another. So when you are interacting with the world, everything is not truth. There is some mithya, illusion. Cigarette being the same causes pleasure to one person when he's smoking and displeasure to the other person when he's inhaling that smoke. Cigarette being the same causes problem to one person and a pleasure to somebody else. Same thing for relationships. A man or a woman causes pleasure to one while the same person causes displeasure to others. So if Jagat is considered as Satyam, there lies the problem. Then what happens is, whole life, I am trained in only one factor. Whatever is happening around me, here, there, or anywhere, is completely real. Anything which I can't see, feel, or think is unreal. There is nothing called higher cause. There is nothing called self-development. There is nothing called the state of self-realization. When you have this kind of a wrong notion or a conviction, then you take everything as real. Everything becomes serious in life. And I deal with each and every relationship, each and every object as if they were the whole. And that is the seed of all problems. That's what we are going to do in the next verse. We'll chant this verse and then we'll go ahead with it. ये हि संस्पर्शजा भोगाः दुःखयोनय एव ते आद्यन्तवन्त कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते बुधः. So what is the problem? The enjoyments. Yehi sansparshaja bhogaha. The bhogaha, the enjoyment that is born out samspar, the sense objects and beings, their sparsha, their contact. So those, for the enjoyments that are born of contact, sense contacts, dukkayonaya evate, are nothing but wombs of sorrow. Yoni, womb, beautifully written. Wombs of sorrow. Whenever I try to see the world as real, then immediately I don't get sorrow. That's the beauty of it. When I contact a particular person or a particular object, it looks very real and I do get the momentary happiness. So I have a weight of around 100 rupees, bundle of 100 rupees. And I come to your house and show your child who is around 5 years old. No, okay, make it 3. Yeah. So 3 or 4 year old, and I show him the whole money. He is asking for a chocolate. So I tell him, look, all this money I have in one hand, and this is a piece of chocolate I have in the other hand. Which one do you want? The chocolate or the money? I'm not saying 5, 6 year old, because nowadays they will choose money. Therefore, I'm going a little younger. The child will look at the chocolate and it knows it wants this. The mother is standing behind me and is telling the child, take that chocolate, don't take that chocolate, take the money. But the child looks and then it takes the chocolate. Instant pleasures. So whatever happens in the world, instantly I get the pleasure. I don't experience any pain. Number one. So when I don't experience any pain, I have no problem. You tell somebody who is completely sick physically, they can't walk, they can't run, they can't do anything. And you tell them to exercise. And you buy, I did this personally, I bought shoes for a friend saying that please start running, please start exercising. But somewhere down the line, the mind starts functioning and it starts giving reason. I can't do this, why? There's no time at present. Evening time I'm very busy, morning time I'm very busy, whole day I'm at home, this, that, and running around doing the vegetables. I can't exercise. And the instant pleasures, eating of sweets and desserts and junk food and not exercising, is a double fault. One is we eat and drink everything wrong. Second, we take stress right, left, and center. A pin falls somewhere and I get stressful. And third, I will not exercise. Now, what you think is going to happen? So instant pleasure. So immediately that pleasure which I am partaking at present becomes wounds of sorrow later. Not now. I will not know anything now. When Dhritarashtra and Gandhari got married, they had a beautiful child called Duryodhana. and was a very sweet boy when he started. And then Duryodhana asked his father the question, Dad, you were the elder brother of Pandu. You were the legitimate king of Hastinapur. But just because you were blind, you were not given the kingdom, and the kingdom went to your younger brother. I understand that perfectly. Now, Pandu's children are there, who's Yudhishthir, and your children are there, that includes me and the Kauravas, all the other 99 brothers. I am not blind. I am your eldest son. So legally, am I not supposed to ascend the throne? This is where Dhritarashtra did not say, no, you cannot, because the king is Pandu and his son will allow it. Go ahead with it. You cannot. He took a pause. He didn't say anything. He said, yeah, but it's okay. And that's the way he went. Since that idea was not clear at all, it went on breeding in Duryodhana's mind. Until Dukkha Yonaya, after a little while, it became the cause of sorrow for everybody. Such a person causes sorrow for everyone. So it starts with that. Only instant pleasure, nothing else will work. Because whatever you are focusing, that from this world I will take things, you'll never be happy with that. Mind wants something, but now the body is not capable of. So once upon a time, when a person was young, around say 15 to 20 bracket, he wanted to play tennis. Now, mentally, the mind still says, I have to play tennis. But is the physical body capable of it at the age of 60 and beyond? Is the physical body able to cope up? Is one question. Sometimes mind itself doesn't want. Mind doesn't want to go ahead with it anymore. Because what the mind used to like once, it doesn't like now. We used to have in childhood a carom board, not from market. Okay, this was specifically made by one man, my dad, and he made it in such a way that when anybody's played carom, when you hit the striker, yeah, it should come rebound 3-4 times, at least 2 times, so you know that the board is good. This board was big. You hit the striker, it will go and get stuck in the opposite direction because there was so much gap between that wood panel and the board. That's how we played as children. So right from childhood, I had a thought that I should have a carom board. I should have a carom board. I should have. And one day, out of my whatever income, I bought a carom board. And I played once. Mind is changed there. Then the carom board was given to somebody. Mind doesn't want it now. It wanted, now it doesn't want. Second change. Third, the mind wants, but the intellect doesn't want. Mind has understood and said there's nothing wrong, but the intellect rejects the concept completely. Like, right in the childhood, we have this cards game, where there is this game called bluff. You know what it is? So you put 2 twos and then you put 2 twos like that, and there are around 4 people. And the card deck, if anybody knows, has only 4 of each number, ace and 2s and 3s. So I put 2, which I had, I put it. The other person puts 2. Then third person says another 2. Third person says another 3 twos. So how many 2s are there? So you don't know what it is. So what you have to do is called bluff. You have to put a straight face and say lies. A bluff with a straight face, so that nobody recognizes that you are bluffing. it's a lovely training to lie in the world. As it is, honesty is not there. So you have a straight face, fake it until you make it. So you keep on faking it. Keep on saying wrong things with a straight face, with a convincing voice, everything, and keep on lying. It doesn't matter. People will take it. This is bluffing. And that bluffing is learnt right in the childhood with this card game. The mind understands that, and therefore the intellect rejects it. The intellect rejects it. So every sense contact which is formed and based on external world, which is dependent on external world, they are all dukkha yonaya. They all have a problem, and sorrow doesn't come immediately. It will come after a little while. Example, Shishupala. I think so, it was Shishupala, who was admitted 100 bad words he can give to Krishna. And when the 101 bad word came, Krishna actually had to kill him. He was warned, don't give bad word, don't give. And he went on giving bad words, one after the other. Why? Just like that. You know, some people you just feel like giving bad words. I don't know. I never experienced that. But that attitude of irritation, and he always was irritated with Krishna. It happened. Sita made one decision to follow the golden deer. Just one decision. 13 years with Rama and Lakshmana, she never had a problem in life. She never had a problem with life. She was very, very happy. Once she decided that I want the golden deer. And Rama had to go, and all hell broke loose because of that. Nature literally told Sita Mata that you want a golden deer. You think anything other than Rama is going to make you happy? That golden deer which is running around, that is what is going to make you happy. Tell you what, I will gift you a golden palace with a ready-made king inside, like Ravana, full gold, wearing top to bottom, everything is gold. Such a person who is wearing completely gold, see whether he will give you happiness. Golden palace. And when golden palace was given to her forcibly, she sat in the garden, Ashoka. Sita Mata is not a lady. Don't mistake her for lady. Sita Mata is Prakriti. Sita Mata is all are, we all are Sita Mata, Jiva Atma. When I am not happy with myself, contented within me, then mind goes elsewhere in the world to say that object or that being is the reason I will be happy. As soon as the mind says that, you are finished. Because you will get that instant happiness, but after a little while, it itself, that same object will be the cause of your sorrow. There is good news and bad news for your desires, says Swami Ramatirtha. There is good news and bad news for your desires. The good news is your desires will be fulfilled. The good news is your desires will be fulfilled. The bad news is your desires will be fulfilled. 100%. If you run away from your mother-in-law so that you can't handle her, then your mother will become your mother-in-law. If you run away from your daughter-in-law that you can't handle her, then your daughter will become the daughter-in-law. If you run, so it will be replaced because you have not learned the lesson. If you run away from the husband and go somewhere, then somebody else will give you the same lesson. It goes for all relationships. So whatever, whenever you are dependent on external objects, sense contacts of the world, it will lead to trouble. Number one. Second, even when you contact and even you possess it, the object, it doesn't remain the same. I told you, your mind changes. Your mind changes, and each and every time you are partaking that object or being, there is what they call in economics a diminishing value of returns. If, I will not say that now, the diminishing value of returns is where you are contacting a person and constantly contacting same person again and again and again every day. Same object, one mango you eat, then after that second mango you eat, after that third mango, how much you can eat? Ultimately, you'll feel like vomiting. So this is called diminishing value of returns. Many people told me that that is the reason there are a lot of people in abroad countries who don't get married. Because same face you are seeing again and again, every day, 24 hours, constantly. That is why I said, if every relationship is punctuated with love, you don't see any differences. Every day is new to you. Like old wine, relationship goes on becoming better. If you have the vision to see it properly. If you don't have vision to see it properly, you'll end up in trouble. So one, even when you have the object, it has a law of diminishing value of returns. Same thing again and again, same activity again, and it becomes monotonous. Actually, sir, listening to these classes become monotonous. One of my friends told me that talking about this highest principle, it becomes monotonous. I have no idea how monotony can come in. When you love something, how can monotony come in? When you are in love, how can monotony come in? How many times would Majnu have called Layla, do you think? We can't remember. It's some senior students I have. And they say, sir, we are getting old now, 70 to 80. We don't remember anything, sir, nowadays. Now, what is the name of your son? But it comes. What is the name of your grandson? Tuck, it comes. You remember everything which is close to you. Why? You will never forget that because of repetition. Constantly. Close to you. When any activity has love at the basis, it is no work. A great scientist said this. I have never worked a single moment in life. It was all fun. All fun. Whatever be the age, whatever, it was fun. So I never worked. Where is the work? Work is only, I have to do. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to. You do it because you enjoy it. And once the enjoyment ceases from the work, stop it. Once the enjoyment ceases, then it becomes a robotic experience. Stop it. Otherwise, law of diminishing value of returns. And then subsequently what happens? There is another aspect which comes, which is called law of neutralization. Law of neutralization is you are with the subject, you are with the person. When you are with the person, he or she doesn't give you any added pleasure. But the absence of it, you have displeasure. Absence of it, you have displeasure. When I am breathing now, it doesn't give me added pleasure. But when the breathing stops, it gives me extreme displeasure. So this is law of neutralization. The person in my life, no further added pleasure. ठीक है, but the absence of that person, immense displeasure. This is law. So all these things come into preview when you are contacting a sense object of the world, considering Jagat Satyam Brahma Mithya. Considering everything in the world to be real. Oh, you are asking for trouble. That is why intelligent people never consider anything as real. Real in the sense it is there. Okay, so it is there. Oh, consider it as a game. Always consider each and every experience of your life as a game, as a sports person. Enjoy while it lasts. This life is such. So when you have this attitude, you are never troubled by anything. Dukkha yonaya. Then they have a beginning. That sense context has a beginning and an end. O Kaunteya, O Kunti Putra, the wise one does not rejoice in them. There is no rejoicing in the sense of don't be a wet blanket. Okay. So somebody is having a party. One of my Vedanta friends, his sister delivered a baby boy and he had to go to the hospital. So he asked Guruji's permission. He said, okay, you can go and visit. So he went there, and it was all in glory, with the whole uniform and everything. And everybody were happy. The small baby, baby child was there. And everybody was cajoling and smiling. And the baby was not trying to respond. He doesn't understand anything, but is trying to respond. This guy holds the baby. The sister is happy, husband is happy, parents are happy. And he looks at the baby with his hand and says, why are people excited? I don't know. It is just a bundle of vasanas which are going to be exhausting anyway. Why do you need to say that? However true or false it is. So just because you have some knowledge, don't put others down. Never, if you are a true spiritual person, you will never put anybody down, come what may. Each and everybody has their own age of spiritual growth. Please, please, please allow them to be. Don't put a spanner in the box. Okay, this is the way it's supposed to be. You understand? That's what he's talking about. Intelligent, buddhijivi, intelligent people, the wise person does not rejoice. So when the festival comes, enjoy. Understand the right meaning. And Navaratri comes, enjoy. Who said not to dance? Please go ahead and dance. Have fun. But why are you dancing? What is the meaning of Navaratri? The first 3 days, Durga Mata, praying to Durga Mata. Second 3 days, praying to Lakshmi Mata. Third 3 days, praying to Saraswati Mata. And fourth, Dasami, Vijay Dasami. 9th day. And then you dance all to glory. It's an extended dance, even timingly, accordingly. First 3 days, Durga Mata represents in my personality, in self, all the negativities are supposed to be destroyed. I'm not going to listen to anything that is nonsensical. I'm not listening or entertaining anything which is wrong in my mind. First 3 days, 3 days, 3 days, 3 days. At that time, they used to say you are living for 100 years. Chatagu Samaha. So each and every time is 33 years. So first part of the year, life, no negativities. No negativities. Second part of life, inculcating the right values to live a life. That is salutations to Lakshmi Mata. Lakshmi Mata represents wealth of values. Lakshmi Mata, I told you before, is not a goddess of money. It's a goddess of values, wealth of values. God of money is Kubera, and he's always associated to be an Asura, a Rakshasa. So Lakshmi Mata, inculcate good values within yourself. Only when you destroy the negatives within, do you have space to inculcate something. If the pot already has weeds, how are you going to grow anything healthy? So if you want to grow anything healthy, which is of your utility, you will have to remove the weeds from the pot first. So you remove it first, then plant second. Lakshmi Mata. Last 3 days, proper knowledge of how to live life with those values. Saraswati Mata. And life becomes Veena, a music. Life becomes music. After that, you stop talking. You only start chanting. You only start singing. Because singing, it doesn't mean you just keep on bellowing. Singing means life becomes a song. It's interesting. It's lovely. Each and everybody to their own place. Children hai, adults hai. Men are there, women are there, so many categories. It's fun. It becomes a song. You don't have any problems with anybody. This is Saraswati Mother. At that end, you have reached, all the vasanas are destroyed. Last, the person to go is the ego, the I factor. And when the ego goes away, burns away, celebration. When this ego, the finite ego, is merged in the supreme reality, then individuality is merging with the totality. Where is totality? Merging with the totality. I am waiting. The totality will come someday. It is already, there is no merging of individuality and totality. Okay. I am the totality in an assumed state of individuality. So I am the totality in an assumed presumption that I am an individual. All ignorantly, I have lived my life as an individual. Now I have understood I am no more an individual. I am the totality. That's all. Highest. Such a wise person grows. His life is gone. Rejoice. And after rejoicing, what you do? Nothing. Every activity of your life becomes a prayer. Every aspect. Then your mind doesn't go readily outside. You are enjoying within yourself at every moment, point of time. Each and every moment is a gift from the Almighty, and you keep on saying thank you. You don't go to temples and churches and mosques. You don't need to go. So you are completely all right. दिल में है तस्वीरें यार जब जरा गर्दन झुकाई देख ली. In the heart, there is the photograph of the Lord. I look and he is there or she is there, whatever it is, doesn't matter. Is God a he or a she? Neither he nor she. Who are you? I am a he, then God is a he. Who are you? I am a she, then God is a she. I am neither he or a she. So even God is like that, neither he nor she. Ardhanarishwar, Shiva and Parvati combined. Whatever you feel, you take. These are the guys who will rejoice everything in life. So you reach a particular state where there are no more desires. You're just happy to be. You are not going outside to do things, and you may do 10,000 things. That's immaterial. But whatever activity you do, whoever you meet, it's never with the hope that with this meeting, with this acquisition, or with this acquiring of knowledge, I will become happier than what I was. You have reached a particular state, now you are the happiest. Come what may, nothing shakes you up. Now you are just sitting and doing every activity which needs to be done. Previously also you were doing the same activity. Now also you will do the same activity. Activities don't change. Same eating, same sleeping, everything is the same. This is called the state of meditation. Now Krishna, in this chapter, this is chapter 5, the second last verse, he gives a tip to Arjuna. If you have done all this, you are ready for meditation. That is the next chapter, Dhyana Yoga. We'll just chant this. Sparshan kritva bahirbayanch chakshushchaivantare bhruvo pranapanau samau kritva nasabhyantaracharino yatendriya mano buddhi munir moksha parayana vigateksha bhaya krodha ya sada mukta eva saha. What is meditation? All over the world, people are teaching meditation. Everybody. Because when you say, I am a Hindu, or we are from Hindus, or from India, from India, two things are very famous. What are the two things in spirituality? Yoga and meditation. Both these things. Yoga and meditation. Meditation is easy. What you do? Sit with your eyes closed. He's saying the same thing. shutting out external contacts, and fixing the gaze as though between the eyebrows, equalizing the flow of incoming and outgoing breaths in the nostrils. That's it. So what is meditation? Back straight, little incline at the pelvic region, fingers interlaced, placed in front, vision, shutting out external contacts, no noise please, nobody make any noise. And then view in between brow, in between here. So people are sitting like this and controlling your breath. They are doing it, meditation. This is procedural details. This is the way you should meditate. Procedural. The gaze as though between the eyebrows, as though seems to indicate that it is not a physical exercise. When you are looking up internally, it is a realm of devotion. You look up to your parents. You look up to your teachers. You look up to your guru. You don't look up to your children. You look up to these. It's a respect. It's devotional. So you should have a devotional heart when you are doing this meditation. Agree? Everybody's doing this constantly in meditation. And after this, what Krishna has said is completely discounted, because that is a difficult part. Sitting, breathing, and thinking of nothing else but the one reality, or thinking of nothing, let the thoughts flow. These are all easy things which everybody can do. But you will not be able to sit properly if you have not done yoga or physical exercises properly. So why do we do yoga? So that we can sit in a particular position without the body getting hurt here and there. That attitude should not be there. You're perfect, all right. Because of your exercises, you are all right. So yoga needs to be done. And what is other required for the meditation is what is coming next. Having means considering, having the senses, mind, and intellect controlled with liberation as the goal, the sage, free from desire, anger, and fear, is verily liberated forever. Chutti, like children running out of the school saying, wow, 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 it's coronavirus is there, no school, enjoyment. Similarly, chutti. But for that, what you have to do? The first three things. Having the senses, mind, intellect control. That's the difficult part. Therefore, nobody does this. Everybody does the procedural details. Nobody does the preparatory details. These are the preparation. Senses under control. Every time my eyes open, I see color and form. My ears are already open. It hears all sorts of noises. Taste is there. So sense perception is constantly going on. Control the senses. Whenever I should live in the world, I should live in the form of tapas. Tapas is conserving the energy which is at present going into dissipating channels and using that conserved energy for a higher purpose in life. There is no other higher purpose. The only higher purpose is one. Listen to me. The only higher purpose is do justice to your talent. Nothing else is the higher purpose. No, but I'm trying to do good to the society. It will not work. If you are not doing justice to your talent, whatever the talent is, whatever good you are doing to the society will not work. You take it from me. Every aspect to justice. So this is sense control. Wherever the senses are going, which is dissipating my energy, get it from there. This is karma yoga. Do every activity with full devotion, complete enthusiasm, and without expecting or obsessing about the result that will come. Karma Yoga. So physical body constantly acting into the world 24/7, and mind chilled. Like teenagers say, it should take a chill pill. Mind, zero agitation, zero problems, no stress and strain at all. So physical body continuously going, Karma Yoga, 24/7, literally. Okay. When the body wants rest, you sleep. When the body gets its rest, get up and start doing things. That's as simple as that. Karma Yoga. Then mind control, Bhakti Yoga. When the mind is getting agitated, get out of the agitation by giving it a higher purpose in life. There are so many people who are not agitated and they're going through worse problem than me. Then why am I a specimen to sit and cry over everything? I don't want to cry anymore. So if the mind is agitated, I'll see, why am I getting agitated? I am agitated because the person remains the same who is agitating me. He is the one, she is the one who's agitating me. Therefore, I am agitated. Can I change the other person? No, I cannot. The only person I can change is me. Therefore, I will change myself. I will change myself to a level where the person is there, he or she may do anything, but I don't get agitated. Beautiful example, one a great master gives, Vinoba Bhave. He says, a fish is flying into the waters, literally trying to escape its enemies. And as it wants to run away and swim away, eventually nature takes care and it develops wings. And the fish becomes a bird and flies. Look at the example. The fish becomes a bird and flies. The change is not in other fishes. The change is not in the medium, the water. The change is in itself. So if you want to, so don't wait, Mother Nature will take care. That is for other animals and insects. Human beings need not take so much time. It is just a little bit of tinkling with your own thought pattern. That's all. Everything can change. Adi Shankaracharya beautifully said it, when there was a discussion going on with Shankara and Mandana Mishra, one of the discussions was going on. Outside, the wife was there and she was talking to one of the students of Shankara. When they were chatting, the wife said that, but we are like ants. We are like ants. And the master said, yes, we are like ants. Means social. We need everybody around. So he says, you are right. We are ants. An ant, when it wants to climb down from one tree and climb to the next tree, it will climb all the way down from one tree and then go to the next tree and go up. That is provided you think you are an ant. But you are not an ant. You are a Hamsa. You don't need to walk down and climb again. You can fly from one tree to another. We are all Hamsa, Paramahamsa. So when we have Paramahamsa, we think about Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. We are all Paramahamsa, the topmost of creation. Why? Every moment of time, we can pick what we want from our life and improve on it. Whenever wrong things come, I can throw it away. Whenever right things come, I select it. So this is bhakti, pure devotion. Nothing negative should be entertained in the mind. Go through stories, go through Othello or Macbeth or King Lear or whatever. Go through all the stories and see what all happens with a negative mindset. And I promise I will never have a negative mindset in my whole life. Devotion, mind. Then intellect control. Intellect control, why? I need to do higher dream, a higher aspect, a higher vision in life for only one reason. A higher vision in life, if I can be of help to somebody, This thought is not from the point of view of I am helping them. Remember this. That's arrogance and ego when you say, I am doing this because I am helping them. This thought is, I need not get agitated or disturbed in my life. And the only way to change that focus from me to them is what will cause the reduction of my own problems. To get rid of my own problems and my own stress and agitation, I need to look at something else, a higher concept in life. The world does not need anything. It's perfect as it was. It's your need to change the world into a better so that you become better. The world will never be becoming better. Jesus came and went, Krishna came and went, Rama came and went, and you see where the world is still. The world provides you with an opportunity for your growth, not for anything else. So intellect pitches up a higher goal. So these are the three things: Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. All three. Okay. So having the senses, mind, and intellect controlled, now you are controlled with liberation as a goal. Moksha parayanaha. That goal should be there. If you are comfortable with life, it's okay, sir. A little bit of agitation and stress is all right. Sabka to hota hai na, sir, actually. It's all right. But life was not entirely bad. It's just okay. Then there is no growth. You have to be discomforted with life. Now, when I'm saying this, you have to be discomforted with life. Don't appreciate life. I don't mean don't appreciate life. Don't appreciate the agitations and entanglements which causes sorrow in life. Please don't tell me that this is life, dukh aur sukh to saath saath mein hote rehte hain. This is an old auntie talk, Who told you are supposed to be sad? Which grantha told you that dukh aur sukh saath saath mein hai? Never. Don't take it into consideration. The topmost priority in my life is I am going to be happy come what may. So until that goal is there, you will never strive for it. There is a state called self-realization. There is a state called perfection. There is the state where I entangle, I remove all these bonds of ignorance and agitation, and I am free. This attitude is called mumukshatva. Mumukshatva, in short, is tying yourself to a chair and sitting like this. And everything is provided to you. Good clothing, good jewelry, good food, good things to drink, everything is provided. Only thing is you are tied to the chair. All your activities are taken care of. The other person is there, two people standing right side. What do you want, sir? What do you want? And they are ready to give you everything. Only thing is that you are tied up. You may enjoy a little bit here and there while being tied up, but the only thing you would want is get rid of it. That to get rid of being tied down with relationships, with objects, with these materialities and sensualities is mumukshatva. Not to run away from any object or being. Running away from the society was never the cause. It is always non-affectation by whatever is happening around. And that is what is mumukshatva. And that's the highest goal of self-realization. So with liberation as the goal, this sage, he has become free. Free from what? Ichha. I want to do this. I don't want to do this. There is no ichha. But sir, we see these people still functioning. First of all, you will not know who's realized and who's not realized. Nobody can know. That only a realized person can tell whether he is realized or not. Nobody else can know. We can only concoct and say that that person is realized, given some external traits. Otherwise, nobody can know. How will this person No other desire. Then how is this person functioning? Because it needs to be done. It needs to be done. This thing is needed to be done. Therefore, we are doing it. But supposing you are not required, then we'll not do. Khatam. If you are not required, it not be done. Somebody else will come and do it. If somebody else is better, then let that person do it. There is zero ego. So there is no desire to do something or not to do something. If it is needed to be done and there is nobody around, they will do. If everybody is around, they will walk away. That attitude will be there. So this is one thing. Freedom from desire. And since the desire, freedom from desire, he also has this combination of modifications of desire. He never gets angry also because he doesn't have desire. And he doesn't have any fear of losing. Losing what? When I came into the world, I started crying and both the hands were like this. When I will go with all the knowledge, with all the emotions and all the family members and all the assets collected, cars collected and this and that, everything, how I'll go? Same way. So what is the big deal I got in the world? What is the big deal I'm going to take away from the world? Nothing. Absolutely zero. So such a person, no fear. Fear of losing what? As soon as the person comes, they are ready to go. It's going to happen. My near and dear ones are going to pass off. I am going to pass off. Not you. You people will be continuously there forever. I'm talking about myself. Everything is temporary by nature. So just a play. Enjoy as last. So anger and fear is verily liberated forever. That person is free. After that, they will never be brought down. Never be brought down. So you people, next class, we are going to do Dhyana Yoga. And I know that all of you have already doing Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga and Jnana Yoga brilliantly. I know you have been doing this. You have been getting up in the morning and studying. I can see the dedication in this class. Just keep it up. Thank you very much. See you. Hari.